Welcome to Music and Medicine. Welcome to Music and Medicine. Welcome to Music and Medicine. I'm your host, Dr. Moshe Lewis. Welcome to Music and Medicine. My name is Dr. Moshe Lewis, and I'm so happy to be joined by Kwame, also known as scientist of song and sound. This gentleman's incredible, not only in some of the music that he helped to bring to fruition, but also in the work that he's doing now behind the scenes. And I feel like his life kind of demonstrates really the power to be able to even make a greater impact as your career continues on. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me, and those kind words, the great intro. I feel extra important.
And
so,
you are.
Well, thank you.
So I kind of want to roll back because you're not that typical rapper. Let's just start with that. Your music and your ability to really be a producer early on, I think set you apart from other MCs. Where did that come from, the ability to really sort of study and really get into production super early?
Well, for me, my biggest influences, outside of like some of my early rap influence, but my biggest influences were Stevie Wonder and Prince.
Okay.
So as a kid growing up, and I'm heavy into the liner notes,
right.
and I'm reading, the words and the who did what and everything. And so when I look at these albums, I see produced, arranged, performed by Stevie Wonder, produced, arranged, performed by Prince. So I'm thinking, oh, I guess I got to do that too. And so, just as a kid, the different sounds that I heard on records.
Right.
For example, one of my favorite rap records is Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, Freedom. And there's a horn line in that. So I went and learned how to play the trumpet because I wanted to play that horn line. Or like different keyboard things that I would hear, I would learn how to play or by ear. Or my mother put me in piano class to learn how to play these things. And I would get in trouble because I had to play, Moonlight Sonata or whatever. But I wanted to play, I don't know, Square Biz by Tina Marie. So things like that kind of got me into it. So I just thought it was a natural thing to do, to produce your own stuff and to record it at the same time. Sure. I just didn't have the knowledge of, okay, there's a songwriter out there, there's a composer out there, there's a drum programmer out there. So, it was just a natural progression.
Sure. And it seemed like that versatility helped you because there were certainly key times where you might not have somebody to rely on and you had to know, okay, how do I get this part done?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Just on one example, creating my first album is just me in the studio. First, it was in a demo form, and I did a lot of that work in a demo form. But I was under the tutelage of a great producer, Hurby, Luv Bug, who had Salt and Pepper, Kid and Play, Dana Dane, and so I was waiting for him to show up to the studio and produce, and he's too busy on tour with Salt and Pepper and Kid. So I had well, if I did this first half, I might as well just finish the second half. And luckily it worked. I think business-wise, it was kind of weird because the label Atlantic Records bought into Hurby producing the project. So with the first album, they slapped his name on it and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, like he oversaw the project, but the grunt work and the real learning of everything, I did. And I was at an early age. I was 15, 16 years old. So that laid the groundwork for everything that I do today.
Sure. Some people would say that you were somewhat ahead of your time in reality, the complexity of the things that you were writing and the way that you did it, and then certainly being able to put these elements together kind of made it almost somewhat of a challenge, especially as times were starting to change and things like that, and just really people having the appreciation for good music and sort of the hard work that you had put in. It all seemed so effortlessly and you were having fun, it seemed very frivolous.
I think it's a two-part. One, yes, you're correct. It was an extreme challenge because, and I think it's this way now, somewhat, but even more so in 1989, rap was in this small box.
Right.
And it's weird. It's like a small box, but all these colorful characters within this box, and everybody was doing their own thing and being as free expressive as they possibly could. But a lot of times that free expression didn't monetize the way record labels would want it to. And when you have like the advent of gangster rap happening, and more of that, I call it the sale of trauma happening, that type of music is what brought the dollars in. So somebody like me, I'm a geek. I'm just like a geek from Queens, and I want to talk about science and comic books, and I want to, things that people can do now. But I remember going to my label and saying, hey, I want to make my second album. I want it to be a concept album, which it was, but I want to do one long video that encompasses the whole album. You can't do that. Only person could do that was Michael Jackson, and you're not Michael Jackson. I'm like, all right, come on. And that was a quote. Like, they literally said that. And nowadays everybody drops these long form videos and everything like that. Or I remember telling my publicist, they were like, well, no, what magazine, what do you want to do? I said, I want to be in GQ. I might not make the cover, but I want to be in GQ. I dress the part. I want to be in GQ. You're a rapper. They'll never. And the next thing I know, I see P. Diddy in GQ or Kanye West or something. So I guess those things, yes, they are well before its time. But then at the same time, because of the box that I'm speaking of, a lot of the creativity is stifled. And it's not like you can't do that because the technology isn't there. It's not like you can't do that because we can't pay for it. It's like you can't do this, that, or the third because rap doesn't do this, that, and the third.
Right, it's not there yet.
Yeah, so it is what it is. I'm still around. I'll figure it out.
And that's one of the key things I wanted to talk about, longevity. You dug in deep and made this transition. What do you think were some of those elements that allowed you to sort of move on to that next step and say, it's okay, if I can't always be in front, it doesn't mean that I can't be part of the industry?
Yeah, I think I looked at my career as a whole at that time. So now I am 19, 20, 21 maybe. Rap is drastically changing. I do not want to drastically change like the other rappers are.
Although you're being asked to do so.
Yeah, I'm being asked, toughen up, wear some Timbs, pull out a bat. Like, what?
Right, come hard.
I'm like, all right, okay, hit somebody with a bat. But I had to think about, I'm 19, 20. Do I say, this is it? Let me go to college and become a doctor, or let me, whatever. Let me become something and say that, and become a statistic, meaning he was an old school rapper and that was it.
Right.
Or do I really say that this is a career that I've always wanted to be in? And if I can't be the front man at the time, I can also provide a service. I've been doing it. I've been doing it in private. I've been producing my own stuff. I'm 3 albums deep at this point. So it made sense to do it. It wasn't the easiest thing to do.
Right. Or the most straightforward.
No, not at all. There was a lot of like, how am I going to keep these lights on moments? But I knew that being in this is something that makes that I'm made of. It's a difference. A lot of times people don't understand something. Sometimes you do things because you're doing them, and sometimes you do something because you are that. So for me, I felt like I am the thing that I'm doing. I'm embodying the things that I'm doing, on and off camera and record or whatever, and I have to continue. And I don't know what it looks like. It's like driving down a foggy road. You don't know where those curves are going to be. You take it slow and watch out. But yeah, that was pretty much just that transitional journey was crazy.
Exactly. Talk to us about what a producer is and some of the things that you do, because I think a lot of times we throw that word out, and you were involved in all different levels of not only marketing, promoting your music, but really trying to get the instruments, get everything together, put all the music, get all the people, do the mixing. Yeah.
Well, as a producer, see, so not to be super long-winded, but when I was a rapper, or rapper slash producer, I would just have to show up at the studio. I would have, you know, my what I wanted to write about, the music I wanted to make. I would have an engineer. I would have an engineer assistant, and if it was something that I wasn't playing, I would call in a musician that I would know, or you know, a referral, and we would make these records. But once I transitioned into using that producer title first, right. I really understood that there shouldn't be a job that you're not willing to do. So first and foremost, so if I'm there making the track, I should not be above engineering the track. Right. If I'm engineering the track, and like say if my engineer steps away, I can sit there and
you know what to do.
100% engineer. Then, like you said, if okay, I want live violins, you know, string section, I know who to call and I bring those people in. Horn sections or any of acoustic sections that I need, I know, you know, what to do. And it's like puzzle building. Literally, it's like puzzle building because you start, you know, it's like the puzzle's all scattered out and you have the idea and the picture what you want to create. So you create that part. And so now you have the music. As a songwriter, now that after I have the music, I'm writing a song and I'm writing the song to it. I can't sing for nothing, but I have to demo that song the best way I can so I can teach the real singer. Sure. You know, so here I am sounding like Kermit the Frog in the studio, trying to teach a singer how to sing, and I'm teaching some great singers. I'm working with Christina Aguilera, I'm working with Vivian Green, I'm working with Mary J. Blige, and you know, all these people, and Fantasia. You know, imagine trying to teach somebody like that. You sounding like a Muppet. But you're doing this work, and there's no complaint about it. Because it's just, that's what it is. It's about building the building, and if you need a team behind you, you put that team behind you and you understand how to execute from start to finish. And that's really what a producer is. And then after that, I started a boutique label on Universal Records, and now I have to do everything else. And I'm just sitting there doing admin and putting up taking care of like the what do you call the numbers? I'm drawing a blank. Like the SKU numbers for a record and approving artwork and setting up this, that, and all. It's a full-time thing. It's not just sitting in front of a mix board and you know, like on TV, you're looking real cool with your shades on and just bopping. Like that's it. You know,
it's a lot to get to that.
Yeah.
Talk to us about some of those key moments and highlights where you're like, I'm so glad I got a chance to work on that project, work with that artist. One
key moment is the first project that I got. I literally went from 0 to 1,000 in 1 second. Like I get a phone call and the person that was helping me like sell beats and stuff like that at the time, he said, we just sold something to LL Cool J. I'm like, okay, cool. He wants 3 records. I'm like, 3? And then the next call was, Mary J. Blige wants a record. So I literally am going from sitting in my apartment like, what am I gonna do? To that phone call to, all right, meet us down to the studio tonight. And I remember before I got to the studio, I felt nauseous. And I'm like, oh, I'm catching. I ate something, and I don't eat bad, so I was like, what did I eat? Like I eat some bad salad. I don't know what I ate. So, and I thought about it, and I was like, yo, I think I'm having an anxiety attack. I think I'm really like, because it's happening like immediately. And then I had to snap out of it, and I get there, and it's just me, LL Cool J, and he's writing the song, I'm taking care of the beat, and to me, that's like the pivotal moment one of the pivotal moments in my career, because it was a defining moment. It's like, okay, you were there, now you're here. And it just kept snowballing from that point.
Nice. Our show's called Music and Medicine. When you hear those words, what does that mean to you?
Well, I don't know what it meant because, you know, at first when I heard music and medicine, I thought you were gonna like say something like, your heartbeat is like the rhythm and do you rap to your heartbeat? I'm like, no, I don't.
That's not me.
No, you know, I didn't know. Sure. But I think now that I think about it, I just think that sound, sonics, frequency, those are healing properties. Those are mind-altering properties. Those could be used for medicinal purposes as well. They've been used like that. Sound therapies have been used throughout time.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, people have literally gotten healed by somebody sitting on a bowl, making all these, you know, and I'm joking about it, but it's like, it's some real thing.
Right.
So I feel like for somebody not doing music medicine, when they hear certain songs, it just puts them in a different state, and it can get them out of a different state. You know, you're depressed, you put on a happy song. You want to be all in love with somebody, you put on a love song. You know, vice versa. When people are angry and they do violent acts and you know, things like that, 9 times out of 10 there's a song that went along with it.
Right.
You know, and some, you know, you never know what the song is, but they're listening to something that's getting them charged. Our athlete is getting pumped up. Right. So there's something I feel that it's scientific, you know, behind that, and so when after really thinking about it and not knowing it wasn't about my heartbeat and rapping, I felt like that would probably be the crux of the show, where you just talk about those type of mind things, mental things, mental wellness.
In what way has it been your medicine? What way do you find it to be healing, supportive, especially through this journey?
Well, for me, it feels like, first of all, it's a amplifier. It's when I do music, it takes me out of whatever reality I'm in at the time, and I'm totally locked in. I'm totally zoned in. And if I had a headache or if I have a lower back pain or whatever it is, I'm out of it. I'm literally out of it, especially if I'm on stage. I can go on stage with the flu, but while I'm on stage and while I'm all those endorphins going and my energy is being charged, I come off feeling better. Right. You know, and you know, I can't explain it, but I know that it helps. It also helps mental health. You know, it's like you know, you could be depressed about something, you could be upset or anxious about something, and for me, doing music and listening to music, but mainly just doing it, takes that away, suppresses it in some way, or helps me realize that, you know, you don't really have to be anxious about this, or you don't really have to be upset about this. Right. You know, this is a therapy. It's like a therapeutic thing.
And the last thing I want to ask you about, though, because I think it'd be maybe helpful for somebody who's going through this, is just making that transition. What pearls might you give for somebody that the album got shelved, got delayed, that got let go?
Oh, well, that's not guaranteed. You know, being on a label, getting a deal, being famous, being rich and famous, that is not guaranteed at all. Period. That's luck. That's almost as lucky as getting the lottery. Having a talent, nurturing your talent, knowing your talent, accepting your talent, displaying your talent, releasing your talent, that's guaranteed. That's 100% guaranteed, period. Now, if you're moving forward and you're trying to be a professional, great, but you gotta be it. Like I said, you can't do it, you have to be it. Right. You know, like somebody will say, oh, I'm a musician. Okay, do you play somewhere? Right. Are you in a church band? Are you something? Nah, I just, you know, I know how to play. You playing for the mirror? Right. So that mirror is about to get you a deal. Like, you know, the mirror's 100,000 people in front of you. No, you have to be it. Because the more you be it, the more you surround yourself with other people that are doing the same thing you do. And that's where the luck comes in. You're like, oh man, I heard you play the bass, man, I heard you dope. Right. My man over here is looking for a bass player, right, and he's on tour with Janet Jackson.
Right, sure. Can you go?
And then there goes your luck.
Right.
Or my man right here, he's his brother's the A&R at Arista Records. Right. And your voice, man, you gotta meet this guy. Right. That's the only way you become what you want to become, because you're out being it. Right. And if you don't do that, you just at home singing for your puppies or whatever, like, yo, man, you're not gonna be anything but a talent in your own mind. I love it. So that's the only thing I can say, like, because all the other stuff isn't guaranteed. There's no, like, you just gotta surround yourself. Like, I was telling a friend of mine's son who wants to be a singer. And there's always these kids that want instant fame. They see it and they want to be it. Right. And I'm like, look, you want to be a singer, where have you sung? There's 1 million school talent shows. Be in a talent show. Right. Join a theater group. Join a vocal group. Because I know for me, and I know everybody else who does what I do, we all know each other. And a lot of times, we know each other from the weirdest things. Sure, right. You know, like, remember we were in that roller skating competition together? You know, it's things like that.
Right, but you know.
You know, and that's the biggest advice I could give somebody. You gotta just be in it. Find it. Google theater group. Google open auditions. Google open mics. Right. Be bad. Stink at it. Suck at it. Go to a place and sing and be the worst. Because that's the only way you're gonna know what you are.
I love it. You've heard it from Kwame. Not only has he continued to be an incredible producer all the way from the beginning, but through each of the albums, but in this transition, working with some of the greatest artists that are out there and continuing to put his talents out there and encouraging you to not be afraid to show your talents and showcase them if you really have them from within, but also to realize that failure can occur, but it really doesn't exist if you realize that it is part of the stepping stones to really getting you to where you ultimately want to go, which is constantly producing, constantly being out there, constantly making your music or your art something others can appreciate. Thanks so much for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you
for coming on our show.
All right, thank you, man.
Welcome to Music and Medicine. Welcome to Music and Medicine. Welcome to Music and Medicine. I'm your host, Dr. Moshe Lewis.